This is the story of Rainer Winkler, who grew up in a small village in rural Germany. His childhood was mostly typical, except for attending a special needs school where he was unfortunately bullied. He has an IQ of around 85, and after his father's death, he inherited his house. According to Rainer, his mother and sister left right after his father passed away to live with his mother's new boyfriend. However, a family friend says it was Rainer's emotional instability and financial troubles that drove his family away. Rainer was left with his grandmother, his mother's horse Blue, and his dog. These responsibilities proved challenging for him. He sent his grandmother to a retirement home, his dog was neglected and eventually taken by animal services, and the horse was left uncared for in a nearby field. It's important to take Rainer's early life story with caution, as much of this information comes from Rainer himself, who has a history of lying, as well as from his detractors, who are not always reliable sources. Two verifiable facts from Rainer's early years are that he was left with this house and he lives in a village with a population of just 28 people. Shortly after his father's death in 2013, Rainer set up a YouTube channel that would dramatically change his life. His father had forbidden him from using the internet, so Rainer was quite naive about the online world, a fact that would later cause him significant trouble. His YouTube channel focused on his passion, metal music. His early videos featured him headbanging, doing some impressive video editing, and talking about metal music. He also did some comedy, Q&A sessions, and opinion videos. It was these opinion videos that first attracted the attention of trolls, as it became apparent that Rainer was not very knowledgeable and often presented conflicting information. In another incident, Rainer was happily streaming and singing along to a favorite song when someone hacked his stream and played a video of him masturbating. Unaware of the hack, Rainer continued to sing while viewers witnessed the embarrassing footage. This video came from Rainer's channel, where he uploaded various explicit content. Trolls eventually hacked this account and deleted all the videos. Rainer also maintained sex blogs, writing stories featuring himself as the protagonist, engaging in activities. He advertised on forums seeking partners for his videos, even posting a photo in hopes of attracting collaborators, but without much success. Over the years, Rainer set up numerous forums, all of which were shut down due to relentless trolling and hacking. Sexuality is a common theme in Rainer's Q&A sessions, known as Lust Lords, where he often makes outrageous claims about his experiences. For example, he has talked about having sex with horses and large marine animals. In one story, he claimed to have hired a prostitute to lose his virginity, though it's unclear if he actually did. As his channel evolved, Rainer shifted from talking about metal to discussing his personal life, and viewers started to notice his frequent lies, especially his conflicting stories about his sexual appearances. In one Q&A session, he revealed his full name in a video titled 20 Facts About Me. This allowed his trolls to find his Facebook account and subsequently his family's contact details. One troll sent a threatening message to Rainer's sister, which understandably upset him. Fed up with the harassment, Rainer decided to confront the trolls head-on. He gave out his home address and invited them to come see him, a decision that would have serious consequences. At this point, his channel was still small, so the impact of this mistake wasn't immediately apparent. However, as his notoriety grew, the repercussions of this naive decision would become significant. In the Franconian countryside, Drakenlord once lived in Emskirchen. Now, he may not appear to be the brightest bulb and is somewhat corpulent, but he is a great ranter, uses profanity and insults people frequently, and lies a lot. For instance, claiming to be a self-employed shift worker even though he hasn't had a job since 2013. And because of this, he's also known as Lügenlord, which literally means Lord of the Lies, and also where the trolling sound originates. Of course, not being employed, lying through your guts, and being a loner isn't enough to qualify for such names, but when it comes to Winkler, the rap sheet is much more disturbing than you can imagine. Also, he loves to brag.
Frag mal Leute, die 8 Stunden auf dem Bau sind. Die sind fertig und du jammerst heftig. Pass mal auf, ja. Ich habe früher 10, 12 Stunden auf dem Bau gearbeitet. Ich habe 10, 12 Stunden in einer Metallfabrik gearbeitet. Ich habe 10, 12 Stunden an dummen Maschinen gestanden und gesessen, wo ich den ganzen Tag Standarbeiten gemacht habe. Und ich habe noch ganz andere Sachen gemacht. Also ich lasse mir nicht von einem vielleicht 16-, 17-Jährigen, der vermutlich in seinem Leben noch nicht den Arsch hochgekriegt hat, um zu arbeiten, und nicht erzählen, was Arbeit ist und was nicht. Also ganz im Ernst, ich habe wahrscheinlich schon Arbeiten gemacht, die du in deinem Leben niemals anfassen würdest. Ganz zu schweigen davon, was du hier für einen Bullshit gerade laberst, Alter.
Now, Reiner once resided in the Drakenschanze, also known as the Dragon Bunker. And since his address was made public, a lot of his detractors have gone on what they refer to as a pilgrimage to see it. Well, not anymore. Numerous videos on YouTube demonstrate how these trolls attempt to buy fan articles, offer gifts to Drakenlord, upset him by yelling at him, or even throw eggs at him. And although they frequently flee when Reiner approaches and tells them to leave him alone, this is seen as cowardly and foolish, because there are frequently 5 or 10 people opposing Reiner alone.
Komm, hau ab! Beweg dich endlich! Ey, hör mal auf! Beweg dich! Hau ab! Ey, hör mal auf! Verpiss dich! Ey, ich bin ja...
Oh, zieh Bewährung nicht!
Du gehst den Scheiß vielleicht gegen! Wir sollen bewegen! Wir sollen bewegen! Fass mich mal hinter! Was denn für die Filter? Hau ab! Die nächste...
Now, it all started to get out of control roughly around the time the trolls became so bad that 150 people showed up at Drakenlord's house threatening to storm it, which required the deployment of riot police to keep the gathering under control. Some people lit off fireworks close to the scene, and others caused a field adjacent to catch fire, forcing the fire department to be called. Following the incident, a number of people were arrested. Among them was a hater who was sentenced to 4 years in prison. This person was also in charge of calling the fire department to Drakenlord's home and placing orders for items costing several thousand euros. Naturally, his fame doesn't come from instances like this alone. He has earned most of his notoriety on YouTube when he asked his 2-week-old online lover to marry him. She played a practical joke on him, rejected his proposal, and referred to him as the fattest, most stupid idiot I've ever seen in my entire life.
Also im Prinzip will ich dich hier live fragen, ob du mich heiraten willst. Nicht unbedingt der romantischste Antrag, aber ja.
Oh Mann. Ist das dein Ernst?
Ja, schon.
Und ich sollte jetzt eine Antwort drauf geben?
Prinzipiell hast du es ja schon getan. Jetzt ist nur die Frage, ob du dazu stehst.
Okay. Also Rainer, du bist echt ein ganz besonderer Mensch. Und mit besonders meine ich, du bist der fetteste, dümmste Idiot, den ich je in meinem ganzen Leben gesehen habe.
Oh Mann, Rückwandstück, das ist ja großartig.
Ich stehe zu meinem Ziel.
Oh, wartet doch auf mich, Leute.
She even gave up his phone number and address as well. Many people, even those in the community who troll Drakenlord, passionately disapprove of this behavior despite the large number of people who hate him. Then again, the video, Drakenlord rastet aus, is also incredibly popular. In it, he calls out his haters and freaked out when he hears a PC Kombucha voice calling his sister. In line with all of his past actions, he uses the famous expression, throw them the beatings out, to threaten them, yet it makes no sense. Now, things took a terrible turn on June 15, 2018, when Count Dankula, a well-known YouTuber, posted the first video in his renowned Absolute Mad Lads series, titled Dragonlord. And in case you're interested, this specific video is an excellent resource for learning about the kind of trolls that Drakenlord was targeted by. It contains information about the riot, his permanent ban from streaming with over 499 viewers.
Und die sind so dumm gewesen, das zu prüfen, haben dann angeblich an mich Briefe geschickt, die nie angekommen sind. Also wieder mal das typische Hater-Verschwörungsscheiß. Der Antrag auf Verbreitung des Fernsehprogramms Drakenlord im Internet abgelehnt. Verfluchten Wichser, Alter. Fernsehprogramm Drakenlord. Was habe ich hier auf meinem scheiß Streaming-Kanal je gemacht, was mit Drachenlord zu tun hat, ihr Idioten, Alter?
Drachenlord was found guilty in October 2021 of violating his probation and committing dangerously bodily harm. He was also given a 2-year jail sentence. It was described as a sad example of the consequences of hatred and bullying on the internet by the judge, following the village's purchase of his home in March 2022. The house was raised to both prevent more unwelcome tourism and to free the town from the problems and rot brought about by Drachenlord and the invaders.
Oh nein, der macht wirklich.
Ja klar macht er das wirklich.
Das ist meiner, ne?
Oh shit.
Wollt ihr mal ein Scheißschlaf kaputt machen? Ja, nimm auf nicht! Warum zuckst du? Oh! Oh! Na komm!
Yet, due to the contradictory testimony made by his accuser during his intoxicated trial, he ultimately served a year in prison, followed by a year on parole. Basically, the Drachenlord story's origins are unclear. Years before he became the phenomenon he is today, he was something of a niche star. He gained notoriety in the early 2010s in the local and online metal scenes by using catchphrases, a quirky style, and sporadic outbreaks of rage to establish himself as a meme-worthy figure. Cutting it short, right after that, he gained popularity as a trolling target on German forums such as Krautchen and Lashon. Still, the majority of people regard one specific video as the focal point of his story. At the start of 2014, a claimed hater discovered Winkler's sister's contact information and, based on his claims, threatened her over the phone in a garbled voice. In response, being the good brother that he allegedly is, Winkler released a short-lived video in February 2014. In it, he angrily exposed his complete address and urged those involved to contact him.
Metal, Leute. Ich weiß, dass ein paar Arschlöcher da draußen meinen, ich sei das letzte Arschloch und der letzte Kasper und Dreckstag und was weiß ich alles. Ich habe heute einen Aufruf an euch, kleinen miesen Drecksschweine. Irgendeiner, ich weiß es nicht wer, es ist mir auch scheißegal. Ich weiß nicht wer es war. Irgendjemand hat meine Schwester mit einer PC-Computerstimme angerufen und gemeint, pass auf, ich weiß, wo du wohnst. Wer auch immer das war, traut euch, kommt zu mir als Schauerberg 8 in 91448 Emskirchen. Traut euch, kommt zu mir und legt euch mit mir an. Ich prügel die Scheiße aus euch raus.
Since then, an ever-increasing number of people have participated in the cooperative, decentralized, an extraordinarily complicated Drachen game, which involves trolling Drachenlord both online and off. Naturally, you might be wondering who is this guy and why is he so relevant? To be honest, that's what the internet is attempting to understand. But let's just start with the fact that Drachenlord is on one hand a simple target. He fits the classic image of the prototypical online loner, an obese gamer who struggles with emotional regulation. Along with being a well-known misogynist, he has also made a good number of inappropriate remarks, though most of his trolls have done the same. Additionally, he's just an oddball to watch. For example, very few individuals would upload a video of themselves having sex with a blow-up doll on the internet. Yep, that was Drachenlord at one time. Other than that, the majority of people wouldn't waste all of their newly acquired wealth on an expensive VR setup and a worthless Ford pickup truck. Drachenlord, predictably enough, did so. So what is the primary issue here? is Drachenlord the cause of his alleged bullying, or has his current circumstances made him into one? For one, the most important thing to know about Drachenlord is that he genuinely wants to become widely recognized online, yet the only audience he has ever drawn are those who openly dislike him. And so he is stuck supporting their poisonous engagement, which often takes one of three forms, because they're the only people he has. The first aspect of the Drachen game is its digital-only version, which consists of tens of thousands of active participants in Discord channels, Twitter communities, and Telegram groups that record and discuss everything Drachenlord says and does. For about the whole period that he has been a viral sensation, Drachenlord has been a frequent vlogger and streamer, producing enough content for his detractors to fill entire wikis and online newspapers, which it actually does. He is the subject of hundreds of thousands of numerous wikis and internet publications. Even so, Drachenlord has become a pop culture fixation for many of his detractors, similarly to how there are specialists on Star Wars lore and GTA San Andreas, there are experts on Drachenlord legend. Yep. Secondly, some individuals communicate with Drachenlord over the internet in a proactive manner. Since trolling consists of more than just offensive remarks and live streams, this is where things become really sticky. Apart from being the target of several hacking and spamming efforts, Drachenlord also had the first swatting case in Germany. Women also persistently pursued Drachenlord, who only recently had a relatively quiet social life and has been honest about foregoing offline relationships in the name of online success. These women use the pretense of being interested in a relationship to trick him into disclosing personal information about themselves, where one of these women even succeeded in luring him into a live on-camera interaction. And of course, his infamous visits are the last category. These alludes to individuals driving to Drachenlord's well-known address and picking up his famed Come At Me movie. Yes, Germany is not as big as the US, so you can travel from practically any large German and Austrian city to Altschauerberg and back in a single day. And individuals did. All the time. Their actions range from loitering to causing damage to property to actively provocating him in the hopes that he would break and fight the trolls in front of his house. These visits were typically captured on camera or broadcast live to one of the numerous websites that cover the Drachen game.
Hau gleich für dich! Ich fass mich nicht an!
This is also the reason why the Drachenlord story became a national media sensation, when hundreds of young people suddenly came upon the village in 2018. That was the first time the mainstream media truly noticed. Up to 800 people, the majority of whom were teenagers, reportedly responded to an internet rallying call from as far as northern Germany, Austria, and Switzerland to Emskirchen, the hometown of Drachenlord. And because of their fear that a long-running social media debate between the YouTube caster and his detractors could turn into a violent physical clash, the protesters disregarded a formal assembly ban that had been imposed by the police. So, yes, Rainer Winkler, Drachenlord, is quite literally a very contentious online personality in Germany. He has frequently incited anger with the opinions he expresses in his well-known YouTube videos. Winkler also invited his opponents to Emskirchen so they could face him in person and posted his home address online. Since then, the digital standoff has resulted in other criminal acts being reported in the village by the local police. Critics have shattered Winkler's windows, threatened him, and hurt him. Additionally, a 24-year-old was given a lengthy prison sentence for initiating a false emergency call that unnecessarily dispatched numerous police and firefighters to Winkler's residence. Things got so bad that the local police stopped responding to Rainer's calls, leaving him to deal with the trolls on his own. In response, Rainer began patrolling his village with a big stick, looking for trolls. Not to mention the security authorities in the hamlet actively imposed a multi-day ban on any public gatherings in response to the organization of an event on social media. Around the same time, authorities even told the media that things only returned to normal in the Bavarian countryside around midnight, when a special security forces detachment was moved from a simultaneous German football championship match to Emskirchen. According to the speaker, local authorities regrettably did not think that the unlawful demonstrations would be the final instance of the Winkler dispute originating online, influencing real-world events. Meanwhile, the repeated interruptions to the village's daily routine brought on by one of its members' YouTube celebrity at one time also started to irritate the other Emskirchen residents. A local restaurant owner even once complained to the German magazine Spiegel that he was no longer answering the phone because so many fictitious bookings for tables had already been made in Winkler's name by anonymous callers, leading to huge financial backdrop for him. And because there has always been a pattern of trouble that has followed Winkler, then came Drachenlord's numerous legal problems, most of which had to do with fights that had broken out on or around his property. And although a few Drachenlord trolls have been imprisoned, some for extended periods of time, Drachenlord has also been an aggressor, since he has always been found guilty twice of violent offenses. The second conviction, which was handed down to him, and carries a 2-year prison sentence. That said, Drachenlord's house has vanished. Drachenlord has finally left Altschauerberg after selling his house to the municipality, putting an end to an almost 10-year campaign of disturbances and trespassing in the community. Additionally, Drachenlord's most recent court appeal after the sale of his home was successful, resulting in the reduction of his prison sentence to a year of probation. Since then, Drachenlord has traveled a lot, and more recently accompanied by a woman to whom he appears to be engaged to. And, as was to be expected, she was immediately doxxed by Drachenlord's haters, much like a lot of other participants in the Drachen game, and she will probably face the same kind of abuse as Drachenlord. Apart from that, Drachenlord has shown no inclination to cut back on his posting. Meanwhile, the majority of those who have been following him over the past few years believe that his next criminal trial will soon come. So, why does he not stop? Well, Drachenlord is not being forced to spend his days choosing fights both online and off. In fact, it appears that he was specifically offered probation on the understanding that he relocate and cease streaming during one of his court battles. Obviously, Drachenlord said no. Similarly, the complaints of trespassing and property destruction committed by Winkler and other uninvolved citizens during the COVID-19 pandemic, there were also numerous disruptions of the peace, insults, and violent crimes. Over 150 charges against haters were pending, according to the public prosecutor's office at the time of the appeal against Winkler. A Central Franconian police spokeswoman was reported by BR in 2022 as saying that hateful people, some of whom were rioting, had been showing up almost every day. The local police were called out 5 to 10 times a day on average, and up to 15 times on busy days, which was extremely taxing on the officers. And even after Winkler left Altschauerberg, there were still crimes like trespassing and property destruction, as well as visits from bystanders. Chief of the Neustadt Aisch police station, Carson Keller, described these kinds of instances as isolated cases that pop up every now and then. Of course, the false reports don't help Drachenlord's situation either. Then again, in the period that followed, Winkler suffered numerous abusive emergency calls that were detrimental to him. And in May 2022, haters sparked a major police operation in a Nuremberg hotel where Winkler was staying at the time. In the meantime, Winkler was also the target of numerous fake news attacks. Haters used social media to portray Winkler as the attacker of the July 22, 2016 attack in Munich, which was then carried by a Russian television station without verifying the information. Fast forward to March 2019. Winkler was the victim of another incident of this kind, showing that a Turkish television station 24 portrayed him as the perpetrator. On October 21, 2021, the Neustadt an der Aisch District Court sentenced Winkler to a total prison sentence of 2 years for a variety of offenses committed between August 2019 and August 2021, including dangerously bodily harm, insult and defamation, and damage to property. While it's true that Drachenlord has made a great deal of money from his fame over the years, he makes money from subscriptions just like normal creators, and even began his bizarre career by selling autographs in his front front yard. There may also be more sinister factors at play here. While Drachenlord is undoubtedly the victim of abuse from his trolls, he also bears some of the blame, as he continually feeds the fire of this absurdity where there could have been other options. Understand it this way. In his early days on YouTube, Drachenlord saw his detractors as a means to an end, a stepping stone towards greater reach, and eventually leading to a situation where fans and honest would outweigh the trolls. This, of course, never happened. And by now, it's too late.
Erst provozieren sie, ja? Erst provozieren sie so lange, bis ich anfange zu schreien. Und wenn ich dann ansatzweise runtergehen will und denen an die Schnauze hauen, dann hauen sie ab, die feigen Wichser, Alter. Wisst ihr, kein Hater braucht mir vorwerfen, was für ein Assi ich bin, weil das 10.000 Mal assiger ist. Und jeder, der ins Hater-Kollektiv dazugehört, gehört zu dieser Scheiße. Egal, ob er nur im Internet hatet oder auch im Real Life. Jeder Assi, jeder Hater gehört dazu. Jeder Assi-Hater. Und da braucht mir keiner was anderes erzählen.
In a way, his story is speaking out loud the silent part about the internet, that our online communication channels have become so devoid of humanity that it forces some of us to cling to even the most toxic connections available. And this, increasingly, has consequences that reach far beyond the digital space. It's probably best left to psychologists to determine exactly what makes Drachenlord tick, though it's hard not to compare his urge to broadcast to that of everyone else on the internet. Rainer Winkler has at this point merged with his online persona, and should he be forced to leave his online presence behind, there would probably be nothing left for him to do. Regarding his current whereabouts, people assumed he was living in Zeikendorf after he was seen there a few times, but it turned out he allegedly was merely assisting a friend with moving. But then on March 31st, his locations were once again made public, this time in the vicinity of Dortmund. How? You'll never believe it. Well, because someone saw his enormous blue behemoth of a car, of course. It's always as if buying a car that stands out so much was a bad decision. It also doesn't help that he took off the registration plates for two reasons. In Germany, every car is required to have a stamp on the windshield indicating the class of emissions it has. The license plate number is located on that stamp. And yes, the car is exceedingly unusual in Germany, especially in that configuration and color. He is also mostly thought to live in a hotel and use other platforms like TikTok or Discord to begin his money laundering schemes. Despite this, he continues to come across a lot of controversial things because of his blatantly erratic and narcissistic nature. Yet of course, staying in hotels doesn't seem to be working out for him because about 2 years ago, Rainer had spent a few weeks hardly sharing any information, hardly making any videos, and traveling to Fürth Emskirchen every other weekend, apparently. There was little to no information about Mona, and then all of a sudden, his whereabouts were revealed once more. His car was also discovered hidden in a Wern Hotel's Biergarten. Oddly enough, the car had damage, the fender was scratched, and the mirror was busted. Now, the leading theory is that the car was struck by a man riding a bicycle. Perhaps he simply drove past the wall or something. Regardless, fans and haters alike were curious as to what had happened. Yet, the situation quickly got out of hand. A few hours after his whereabouts were posted, someone ordered 15 pizzas from a nearby pizzeria. In total, about 90 pizzas were ordered over the next few hours. The hotel received about 400 calls. Several fictitious negative reviews criticizing the hotel for accommodating a smelly ogre appeared on various portals. It was purported that Rainer left the hotel during his stay. Keeping that in mind, here are some possible explanations for Rainer's intermittent disappearance, which sparked a lot of speculation on the German thread. First, the car was parked on a regular, public parking lot on the street, not on the hotel's property. Second, Rainer was not present during that window. Third, the car's warning lights were flashing, or at least that's what the photos from the day indicated. Whoever did this obviously had Rainer's car keys. And last, the car was apparently under police